Have you ever wondered why, after some people enter your life, you feel more exhausted, insecure, and worthless than ever before? The truth is simple. Not everyone approaches you with good intentions. Sometimes behind charming words and fake smiles, there are people who want to drain you, control you, and use you for their own benefit. As Stoic philosophers teach, we cannot change external events, but we can choose whom we open our doors to. In this video, I will reveal 7 clear signs that you are dealing with a toxic person. Recognizing these signs early will help you protect your inner peace and prevent toxic relationships from destroying your life. If you want to learn how to distinguish who is truly a friend and who is secretly an enemy, watch this video until the end. You might finally notice signs that you've overlooked until now. The first sign of a toxic person is that they only care about their own interests. One of the simplest ways to identify a toxic person is to observe their priorities in life. If someone's actions, decisions, and even their smallest steps are all aimed at protecting their own interests, this is already a major warning sign. Toxic people's first noticeable trait is that they constantly think about themselves. Such people do not approach relationships with mutual principles. They ignore your feelings, needs, and often even your sacrifices. They see you only as a means to achieve their own goals. For example, they may need your help not for your good, but to make their own life easier. And they do it so skillfully that it feels like it's your obligation. If you support them, they take it for granted. But if you expect the same in return, they suddenly withdraw and make excuses. This reveals their true nature. They see a relationship not as an exchange of energy, but as a source of personal gain. According to Stoic philosophy, the most important thing when dealing with such people is to maintain strong inner boundaries. Without boundaries, a malicious person will take far too much from you, leaving you feeling drained, exhausted, and worthless. The Stoics said, others have power over you only to the extent that you permit it. This means that if you cannot say no, their interest will always take precedence over your own. Such people sometimes try to hide behind kind words and charming behavior. But if you pay attention, there is always a pattern. In the end, they are the only ones who benefit. Meanwhile, you end up feeling more tired, giving more and receiving less. This is not a healthy relationship, it is exploitation. Remember, a healthy relationship is built on mutuality. You take a step, the other person takes a step. You show value and they value you in return. If you are always the one giving, always the one showing understanding, it means the other person is investing only in their own interests, not in the relationship. The Stoic approach here is simple. Protect your inner strength and clearly set your boundaries when dealing with such people. If you do not forget your own worth, you will not allow anyone to take advantage of you. In reality, the most dangerous people in life are not open enemies, but those who appear as friends while constantly using you. How long you choose to stay around them is entirely up to you. But remember, sharing your life only with people who truly value you is essential for maintaining inner peace. One of the strongest weapons of toxic people is manipulation. This is the second sign. They rarely attack you directly because they know that would make it easier for you to defend yourself. Instead, they choose subtler methods, learning your weaknesses, exploiting your emotions, and making you feel guilty. If you often feel unnecessarily guilty after talking to someone, it is usually a result of their manipulation. Manipulation is like an invisible chain. It gradually restricts you. You think you are making your own decisions, but in reality, you are part of a game someone else has set up. For example, someone might say, if you really loved me, you would do this, or you always disappoint me. These statements are not just words. They are hidden control mechanisms. They create an emotional burden on you and push you in the direction they want. According to Stoic philosophy, a person's greatest wealth is their free will. Marcus Aurelius said that the mind and reasoning of a person are their most sacred fortress. If someone tries to take over this fortress through manipulation, it means they care about their own benefit, not your well-being. The Stoic approach teaches us that to avoid falling into other people's games, we must first control our own emotions. We must remain calm. The more you react emotionally, the easier it becomes for them to pull you into their plans. But when you remain composed, manipulation loses its power, because a manipulator's main weapon is your reaction. Without a reaction, their game fails. If someone constantly tries to control your choices, this is not just a minor quirk. It is a clear sign of ill intent. In such cases, the best course of action is to keep your distance and stick to your principles, because a manipulator's goal is to make you compromise your boundaries and values. Another obvious trait of toxic people is the discrepancy between their words and actions. This is the third sign. They are often intelligent, charming, and persuasive. They make promises that sound good and win your trust, but in reality, they rarely follow through. For example, a friend may promise to help you but always delays when you need them. Or a colleague might say they will support you but leaves you alone at critical moments. These behaviors may seem small at first, but over time they reveal the person's true intentions. Stoic philosophy teaches that actions are the truest reflection of character. Marcus Aurelius said that words are like air, but actions are like the earth. The earth shows reality. In other words, words can deceive you, but actions cannot hide the truth. Toxic people are skilled at using words to deceive you. They may say heartfelt things like, "I understand you," or "I'm always here for you," to make you feel comfortable. But their actions show that their true aim is not your well-being, only their own interest. They gain your trust and then exploit it. The Stoic approach advises, don't be fooled by words. Before believing what people say, observe their behavior. Do they keep their promises? Do they support you, or do they think only of themselves? If their words and actions do not align, it is a clear signal that their intentions are not genuine. Sometimes it can be difficult to see the difference, because toxic people are very skilled at presenting themselves well. They use manipulative methods to influence your emotions. But the Stoics' advice is simple. Always pay attention to actions, not words. Actions, whether big or small, reveal a person's true character. Words, on the other hand, often create illusions. Remember, words can be beautiful, but actions always show the truth. If a person's words do not match their actions, do not trust them too much. Protect your inner freedom and peace, because according to Stoic philosophy, a person's true self is revealed through their behavior. The fourth sign is that toxic people constantly create tension just by being present. Being around them is not only exhausting, but also drains your emotional energy. You can't feel at ease. You must always be careful about what you say and do. They monitor your every step, evaluate your every word, and often put pressure on you. The tension created by such relationships is not just psychological. It affects your body too. Stress hormones increase, your body is constantly in defense mode. Sleep quality may suffer, and your focus can become scattered. If you consistently feel this way around someone, it is a clear sign that their presence is harmful to you. When encountering such people, the Stoic approach is simple. Keep your distance and protect your boundaries. To preserve your inner calm, you must give yourself this right. No one can control your emotions unless you allow it. Of course, sometimes keeping distance may not be possible due to work, family, or other social reasons, but even then, by protecting your internal boundaries, you can minimize the impact of their tension. Toxic people often create stress through passive-aggressive behavior. Their favorite methods include adding subtle criticism to your words or actions and exaggerating your mistakes to make you feel uneasy. But the Stoic approach teaches us that someone else's behavior cannot disturb our inner peace if we protect ourselves. You should not react or engage in their emotional games. Practical steps are simple. To minimize the tension caused by a toxic person, keep conversations short, maintain distance when possible, and strengthen your inner dialogue. Tell yourself, this person's words cannot disturb my inner peace. I am only in control of my own reactions. Repeating this statement regularly strengthens your inner resilience. Remember, relationships with people who constantly create tension, drain your energy and lower your quality of life. The Stoics' advice is clear. Avoid everything that disrupts your inner calm. This is the path to wisdom, and the only way to preserve both mental and emotional balance. One of the most common tactics used by toxic people is putting others down. This is the fifth sign. They use words, subtle criticism, and sometimes outright insults to make you feel inferior. Their goal is simply to demonstrate power over you and make you feel small compared to their superiority. For example, someone might belittle or mock your skills and achievements at work, among friends, or even in family settings. They constantly try to evaluate you and look for opportunities to undermine your confidence. This behavior makes you feel pressured, forces you to see yourself as small, and over time can make you question your own worth. For toxic people, putting others down is a symbol of power and superiority. By doing so, they feel more important, smarter, and stronger. But in reality, it is a sign of weakness. A truly strong person does not need to belittle others to prove themselves. They do not use another's weakness to show their own power. Stoic philosophy teaches that your value lies not in someone else's words, but in your own mind. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's inner world is their strongest fortress. No one can give or take your inner worth unless you allow them to. When facing toxic people, the real trick is not to react. They may speak belittling words, but their main goal is to trigger your emotional response. If you remain calm and do not fall for their words, they have no real power over you. The Stoic approach is clear. Do not give importance to another person's words. Protect your inner value. In everyday life, there are many examples of this. A coworker may belittle you by mocking your achievements. Friends might criticize you to feel superior. Even within families, sometimes close people display demeaning behavior. But remember, someone else's words do not define your inner worth. Your strength lies in your confidence, principles, and self-belief. Additionally, toxic people sometimes try to humiliate you publicly to undermine your respect. This is tied to their desire for total control over you and to embarrass you. But Stoic philosophy teaches us that someone else's behavior cannot disturb your inner peace. You only need to manage your own reactions. Practically, in such situations, remaining calm, protecting your boundaries, and strengthening your self-confidence is crucial. By controlling your words and actions, you disrupt their game. They cannot gain power over you if you know your worth and remain true to it. Your true power lies in your inner value, not in others' opinions. This approach protects your inner calm and minimizes the influence of toxic people. Empathy is one of the most valuable human qualities. It is not just hearing what someone says, but understanding and sharing their feelings. Empathy deepens relationships, builds trust, and strengthens mutual respect. But toxic people usually lack empathy. They think only of themselves and their own interests. Instead of sharing in your joy, appreciating your achievements, or understanding your pain, they focus on exploiting your weaknesses. They disregard your feelings and sometimes even demean them to feel strong. Such relationships often leave you feeling isolated and alone, as if you are carrying everything by yourself, because the other person does not share your emotional load. According to Stoic philosophy, a person's inner world is their strongest fortress. Marcus Aurelius said that others' happiness or sorrow is not in our control. We can only control our own behavior and reactions. If someone shows no genuine empathy, it reflects their weakness and selfish character. It is not your fault. We can see this clearly in everyday examples. For instance, when a friend talks to you about a problem troubling you, they may only appear to listen, but do not truly understand your feelings. Or a coworker may give no support during your difficult moments, yet try to benefit from you when convenient. Such relationships emotionally drain you. Toxic people's lack of empathy is a strategy to maximize their own interests. They do not care about others' feelings because only their own goals matter. But the Stoic approach teaches us that others' emotions cannot disturb our inner peace unless we allow it. Your role is simply to remain true to your own behavior and values. Another example can be seen in family or friend settings. Sometimes, instead of comforting you, someone ignores your sadness or treats it as unimportant. This shows their lack of empathy. The Stoics said that true support and understanding must be mutual, but if the other person does not provide it, your focus should be on maintaining your own inner balance. Practically, the most important step in such relationships is protecting your boundaries and choosing the right people to share your emotional energy with. Spending time with genuinely empathetic people who understand and support you is vital for inner peace and emotional well-being. Toxic people lack genuine empathy, but your worth is not dependent on others' emotions. Your inner strength, understanding, and compassion are your greatest assets. Protecting them and directing them wisely is in your hands. One of the most characteristic traits of toxic people is their refusal to accept responsibility. They always blame others when things go wrong. This is the seventh sign of recognizing them. They never admit their mistakes and always look for someone else to hold accountable. Even the simplest misunderstanding or minor failure can trigger their blaming behavior. For them, responsibility is simply uncomfortable. Instead of accepting it, they feel relieved by placing the blame on others. This is very common in daily life. If a project fails at work, some people immediately look for someone to blame. In friendships or family settings, even minor conflicts may lead them to see the fault in you, trying to appear innocent and faultless by shifting responsibility. This behavior is exhausting because you are constantly defending yourself, explaining and trying to fix the situation. For toxic people, blaming others is a way to protect themselves and demonstrate power. They use every opportunity to hide their mistakes and preserve their reputation. In reality, however, it reveals their weakness. A strong and wise person accepts their mistakes, seeks to correct them, and has no need to blame others. Stoic philosophy teaches us that true strength lies in taking responsibility. Marcus Aurelius said that a person's character is revealed in difficult times. Admitting your mistakes and learning from them is a sign of true wisdom and inner strength. Blaming others, on the other hand, is a sign of weakness and internal emptiness. This behavior is often accompanied by emotional manipulation. Toxic people use blame to shame, unsettle, and assert their superiority. For example, if a mistake occurs at work, they may assign blame to you without considering factors beyond your control. Among close friends or family, they may exaggerate minor misunderstandings to make you feel guilty. The Stoic approach in this situation is simple. Do not react emotionally to someone else's blame and protect your inner calm. You can only control your own behavior and reactions. Others' accusations should not change you because they do not define your worth. Practically speaking, the most important step when dealing with such people is to protect your boundaries and take responsibility only for yourself. Not falling for their blame, remaining calm, and managing your reactions gives you inner freedom. Your worth is not measured by someone else's words. Instead, your behavior and principles define your strength. Remember, when toxic people blame you, it is a sign of their weakness, not yours. True strength lies in carrying your own responsibility and maintaining your inner peace. If you apply these principles in daily life, no one and no accusation can disturb your inner calm. So if you notice these signs in someone, be cautious. Relationships with ill-intentioned people do more than generate negative emotions. They drain your mental energy, disrupt your inner peace, and reduce your quality of life. They try to manipulate your choices, belittle you, blame you, and exhaust you emotionally. Long-term interaction with such people can gradually weaken your self-confidence and inner strength. Stoic philosophy teaches us that we cannot change anyone's character. Trying to educate people, fix their behavior, or make them right consumes tremendous energy and disturbs your tranquility, often with little result. Marcus Aurelius and other Stoics emphasize that our power lies only in our own choices. Choosing whom to be close to and whom to engage with is entirely in our hands. For this reason, the greatest defense against the negative impact of toxic people is to protect your inner boundaries and maintain your calm. Instead of getting caught up in their games, preserve your inner balance. You should enrich your energy and life with valuable, understanding and genuine relationships, spending time with true friends, sincere people, and those who understand you strengthens your inner peace and makes you emotionally resilient. Remember, other people's behavior does not define your worth. Your value lies in your actions, principles, and inner calm. If toxic relationships test you, recognizing them in time and protecting your boundaries is a sign of wisdom and self-respect. If you apply these principles in your daily life, you have already learned to maintain your inner peace and enrich your life with meaningful relationships. Staying calm and strong against people who try to manipulate, belittle, or waste your energy is now in your hands. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it helpful, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with your friends. Also, turn on the notification bell so you'll be immediately informed of our future videos. Protect your inner calm, enrich your life with meaningful relationships, and never measure your strength by someone else's words or actions.